Okay, we're good to go.
Got it. Okay, I am muting. Andrew, it is all yours.
All right, here we go. Back in action. So hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Gregovich. I'm a geological engineer, and I'm the founder of Anthropocene Geoscience. And so the Anthropocene, in case you aren't familiar, that is the name of the current geologic time period we're living through. And Juneau is a great place to witness the changes that define the Anthropocene. We see glaciers out our front windows, and we've also noticed that they have retreated substantially throughout our lifetime. Change creates opportunity. In this case, in the figure or the photo on the right, gold veins that were previously buried underneath the glacier. And I'm going to contend today that while gold has played a role in our past and present, other commodities will play a bigger role in our future. So in Alaska, we're on the front lines of climate change. They're more pronounced at higher latitudes. Rural communities are disproportionately affected. And Alaskans are among the highest per capita users of fossil fuels. So this problem of excess CO2 in the atmosphere is also an opportunity, and it's one that we should be particularly compelled to engage with. As we all know, Alaska is an energy state, and we burn a lot of fossil fuels. We're among the top 4 fossil fuel burning states in the country, and that's in a country that burns more than most of the other developed countries in the world. So I think we have a particular responsibility to find creative solutions when it comes to clean energy and carbon management. And so Anthropocene Geoscience, we're a technical consultancy with experience in mineral exploration, geohazards, material processing, and the emerging field of carbon management. We are currently engaged in research and deployment of mineral carbonation technologies. In the future, we will work with renewable electricity producers and gas suppliers to develop secure carbon dioxide storage repositories. And so in a nutshell, our goal is to use geoscience to decarbonize the atmosphere, recarbonize the geosphere, and also recarbonize the biosphere. Basically, we're adjusting all the fluxes of CO2 shown in that diagram on the right and balancing them in a way that's sustainable for our planet. So how do we remove carbon with geology? There's a whole palette of carbon removal pathways that are known and that people are actively pursuing. And according to our climate goals, we're going to need on the order of 10 gigatons of removal by 2050 in order to meet those. There are 2 buckets. One is like these nature-based solutions. The other are more technology-based. And nature-based removals are great, and they have a lot of traction today, but they're limited at scale. And so that's where geology really comes in. We have thousands of gigatons of geologic storage capacity available. And the combination of great geologic storage with proximity to cheap renewable energy is where we're really going to develop those repositories. So today's carbon markets, they're characterized by high volumes of low-priced, conservation-based avoidance credits. The future market will see an emergence of differentiated credits with value assigned based on climate impact and storage timescale. And there's going to be a price premium assigned to permanent removals, which are often geology-based. So when people talk about the size of the energy transition, a number that's thrown around commonly is roughly $100 trillion by 2050. And of that, about 2% is going to need to go to carbon management. Looking specifically at the mining sector, mineral carbonation technologies, the ones that I am working on actively developing, have the potential to eliminate up to 50% of mining sector emissions. And so why these technologies specifically? Well, I'm a geologist and it's what I know best how to do. We're also in a situation where demand for these removals has surpassed the supply. So it means there's a real opportunity for project developers who have a specific focus. Now, mineral carbonation refers to a suite of geochemical pathways that lock CO2 away in thermodynamically stable carbonate minerals. These technologies, they have been demonstrated in the lab, and they're ready to be deployed, kind of in first of a kind pilots and demonstration projects. And those are needed to move them up move them from a technology readiness level of about a 5 to 7 or 8, which is commercially viable. And as a hedge against technology risk, I'm exploring a portfolio of related technologies because I'm not quite sure which one is going to be best for me in my business at this point. This slide just shows a timeline of where I've come from up until this point, and I'm not actually going to dwell on these details. Keep moving. This is a slide where I would talk specifically about what exactly mineral carbonation is, how it works. I don't really have time for that today, so I've got a couple SpongeBob memes, and I have a figure that it's often used in exploration geology to talk about mineral systems, where you have fluids, geologic pathways, traps where your minerals will form and are ultimately deposited. And it just kind of gives you a sense of the process that we're trying to design when we talk about carbon sequestration. There are a number of other companies out in the world who are doing this. Most of these who are on the screen here, they've raised a seed round, maybe a Series A, and they're starting to move forward.
Okay, please wrap it up.
Sounds good. We're just at the end. A little bit about me, currently solo founder. I do have a distributed group of collaborators that I'm working with, seeking advisors, project partners, and specifically, this is what I'll be asking for. And that's it.
Thank you, Andrew. I will now open it to questions from our investors. I prefer if you just speak up and ask a question, but if you can't for some reason, go ahead and drop it in chat and Mark or I will ask it for you. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I have a couple. My first question of the evening is, looking at your opportunity, well, the first question I guess is, were you to get the $250,000 in your ask, would that be used to operationalize, or would that be for further testing and development?
Yeah, so that would be in part for equipment, so that this business could stand up on its own and be just a full-fledged consultancy. At that point, you could have recurring revenue. You could offer your services to a number of people who are looking to deploy first-of-a-kind projects, and gain experience not only through projects you're developing yourself, but through projects that others in the space are working on. That's been a nice feature of the carbon removal community to date, is just the spirit of collaboration. It's new to a lot of folks, and there's a lot of unanswered questions, and people have been pretty generous with their time.
Cool, thank you. On that so you're working with other collaborators, but right now it's just you. And to be clear, so I understand, you're not necessarily building any specific technology, but you are an expert in a host of technologies and methodologies, right? And so you would be working with somebody else eventually to deploy the whatever the sequestering technology that you decided on would be?
Yeah, so I think how this would work is you essentially would offer carbon storage as a service to people who capture CO2. And so that could be folks that are developing direct air capture projects. It could be, you could have point sources of emissions, factories and things like that, and take that captured CO2, put it underground. But as far as like, I think you asked specifically about technology development, right? And am I doing that?
No, I'm more like I get the revenue model, right? Basically, you're giving people who sell CO2 credits a place to put the CO2 that they sequester, right? By burying it in Southeast. Is that essentially the business model?
Or really wherever. I'm focused on Alaska and the Pacific Northwest right now, but yeah, it could be where it makes sense.
How much capacity does Alaska have to bury? I mean, I'm assuming using existing operations, right? So how much capacity is there?
There is, I don't know that off the top of my head because there's different places you could put it. I'm focused on specifically like mineralizing CO2. You can do that at the surface. You can do it at the subsurface. So you can, this is the technical stuff that I cut where I have a SpongeBob meme slide, right? It's like you can powder up rock and you can spread it over the land surface. Some are really good at in Southeast Alaska, actually. Like it's been described to me as a soil factory. Or you can find these formations and inject it into the subsurface. And in that case, you'd be looking at, co-deploying it with other renewable energies, say like wind and the Aleutians, and then stuffing it into like big, thick sequences of basalt. That's a place that I really like. I've got a database going of several hundred of these throughout Alaska and the Northwest that I'm currently evaluating.
Very nice. Thank you, Andrew. That was a great presentation. Jake, who's up next on our docket?
Next on the docket is Keepers. And you can go ahead and share your screen and present when we see it. Carlene?
All right, we see it. And then whenever you're ready, go ahead and jump in.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlina Entrepont. I'm the founder of Keepers. So what is Keepers? So Keepers is an on-demand housekeeping platform revolutionizing the housekeeping industry. Kind of the same way that Uber revolutionized the taxi industry, that Turo revolutionized the car rental industry, and Airbnb revolutionized the hotel industry. Keepers platform places the housekeeping requests directly in front of the housekeepers in a way the industry never had before, giving housekeepers the ability to be their own boss, manage their own workload, and increase their income potential. Keepers allows for more opportunities to housekeepers as soon as the jobs are available in their designated area, really giving housekeepers the access to jobs that they would have never known about before. And rather than depending on advertising and referrals for future opportunities. The end of the antiquated way is at our fingertips. So some of the problems in the housekeeping industry that I've researched and I've ran into and I've questioned is pricing. Housekeepers are being paid a low hourly rate, working for companies while the company is taking the majority of the job earnings. On average, housekeepers are making around $14 an hour. And we know with today's inflation, this is just a super low rate. They are still utilizing a bidding process, which is time consuming for both the requester and the housekeeper. And it also creates a situation where housekeepers feel they have to provide a low rate in order to obtain the job. Housekeepers are being paid an hourly rate, potentially creating situations to stay on the job to gain more pay. The housekeeping industry also has access issues. There's currently no true on-demand platform. And what I mean by on-demand is immediate push notifications and immediate responses, thus creating reliability issues. I have spoken to many people in need of housekeeping services, and they have no immediate backup options. And we know anything can happen to anybody at any given time. Reliability is something we all need in our lives. So here is some of the feedback from potential Keepers users regarding housekeeping. I reached out to numerous people across vacation rental platforms and asked the same question. What do you do for housekeeping, and have you had issues? I had responses from it's extremely difficult to I had to sell my vacation property because I couldn't find a reliable housekeeper. So what are some of Keeper solutions? On-demand requests sent to housekeepers. Keepers will dictate the market price for housekeeping services. Housekeepers will be their own boss, manage their own schedules. Keepers will create an environment for requesters to have peace of mind, knowing there will be no single point of failure. And keepers will provide a frictionless experience. So how will keepers provide the best experience for all users? So calendars. The platform will pull vacation rental calendars in for the requester to maintain an up-to-date calendar and easy cleaning services scheduled with one touch. Notifications, once the request is made, a push notification will go out to all housekeepers in the area until the request is picked up. And pricing. Keepers will dictate the market price for housekeeping based on services requested, location, and size. We will eliminate the bidding process altogether. Great housekeepers. So keepers will utilize the review process for both housekeepers and requesters to be reviewed and rated, maintaining a rate to stay on the platform. Will allow housekeepers to be their own boss, giving them the opportunity to manage their own workload. And peace of mind, more opportunities for housekeepers at their fingertips while giving peace of mind to the requesters, knowing that their needs will be met. So here is just a high-level overview of the process of the Keepers platform, and it just kind of goes through everything. I won't go into full detail on that. And then, so this is kind of the idea for the Keepers launch. So initially we'll launch into cities across Alaska and then progress into the Pacific Northwest, potentially other cities, and then continuous progression throughout the US, and eventually, hopefully hitting the global market. So what does the market look like? The housekeeping market is vast with many opportunities currently, and it's ever expanding. Keepers wants to currently focus on the housekeeping market for the housing and the vacation rental market. There is currently 122.8 million households in the US and increasing by about 1 million households per year. 10% of those households have a housekeeper, and this is also an increasing market. The market size is projected to grow to 80% of dual income households. So there are currently 3.24 million dual income households in the US, resulting in the possibility of 2.6 million households utilizing a housekeeper. So now we're going to go into the vacation market rental, or the vacation rentals market, which is an ever increasing market. There's a huge need for reliable housekeeping in this market. I focused on Alaska on this slide to give you guys perspective of what the market is in Alaska. So the average occupancy rate in Alaska is 79% with 2,130 vacation rentals. This results in the need for 320,000 cleanings currently just a year in Alaska. So now this is the nationwide market. So moving into the national market, in 2022, the market is projected to be 1,370,903 vacation rental properties with an occupancy rate of 58%. So at just 2% of the vacation rental market, the projected potential is over 1 million cleanings a year. So then I kind of went into like best case, realistic, and worst case scenario. That you can
That's
just kind of
time. Please wrap up.
Okay. And so we'll go into why Keepers is number one. So we're going to curb the issues other platforms and companies have. And then kind of, so this is, I've selected a tech company to develop the platform, and it will take 4 to 6 months. The website will launch earlier. I have met and received a full, robust proposal for a nationwide marketing campaign. And so this is kind of what's next. The interview firms based in Alaska for the initial launch, to begin the process of the platform development, identify employment roles needed to keep make Keepers successful. And then why I'm here is I need funding, I need guidance on market delivery, tech guidance, and then I would like to partner with Alaska businesses. And this just kind of goes into about me. So thank you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. What questions do we have?
Thank you so much, Carolina. Is this basically Uber for housekeeping?
Yes, that's what I like to think about it like.
Okay, cool. I think it's fantastic. One thing I don't think that you need to tell us about the housing market as a whole. I think focusing on vacation rentals is a pretty solid opportunity, and it makes it a little more digestible as an investor. But I think overall, you do tell a story of what you're building. How much is it? How much are you asking for?
So the total build and the total, so I'm asking for, and I think it's what, 250,000 for this investment. But so the total build for the platform and for a year-long marketing campaign is right about 400,000. The platform itself is 156,000, and that also is utilizing the Amazon servers, and we get so many users per month. And that's also with tech support throughout the entire process through Kitely Tech, who is the tech company.
And have they started building the platform?
They have not. So I have the MSA. So we're going to go into negotiations with that. We're still working on, this is exactly what the platform is going to look like, just so when we do go into, okay, we're ready to develop it, there's not huge unexpected cost.
Sure. Cool. I don't want to monopolize questions, so please, any other investors, please ask questions.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Do you have a plan for how your business would be making money through these transactions? Is this part of?
Yeah, of course. So you're breaking up a little bit there. So I have, so Keepers will utilize a revenue approach that will be gained by utilizing a percent of service provided approach, while we want to continue to maintain and ensure that housekeepers are making a fair market wage and earning. And so I ran a ton of numbers and kind of went that way, but obviously those are going to change as well. But yeah, so we're just going to utilize the percent of service.
And then do you have any sort of mechanism that you'll be implementing for vetting the providers?
Absolutely. So every housekeeper that signs up will be 100% vetted through background checks. There's going to be a portion to where they'll upload their identification that will be shot out to the background checking company. And we'll also, to go into like more detail, we can also, so I'm looking into providing them to where if they want to purchase insurance through us, that is a possibility as well, or we kind of recommend that insurance that they keep.
Okay, terrific. To stay on schedule, I think we'll pause it there. Hydro Slots is up next. If you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen, and then Hydro Slots, if you want to jump on and share your screen. Is HydroSlots here? Yeah, there we go.
Hello, my name is Cecil Ellsworth. I'm a farmer and businessman from Wasilla, Alaska. There are several facts that are pertinent to what we are about to discuss. Everyone eats food or they die. Our climate is rapidly changing, the Arctic more rapidly than most. Alaskans eat about 9,000 heads of lettuce per day and import more than 95% of everything we consume. Global agriculture currently uses 70% of all the fresh water on the planet. It is also responsible for 70% of all the water pollution. By 2050, just 30 years from now, the Earth's projected population will be 9.9 billion people. A 70% increase in food production will be required to feed that population. That's impossible with our current agriculture. 96% of all the salad crops consumed in the U.S. are grown in Southern California, Arizona, and northern Mexico. Coincidentally, these are the places most dramatically affected by the West's ongoing drought, which researchers have just labeled the worst in 1,200 years, and which is forecasted to only intensify over the next 20 years. Unless we begin making changes immediately, the Alaska we know today is unsustainable. Hydroponics in controlled environment agriculture is not new technology, but it is a significantly underdeveloped one. Compared to field-grown crops, it uses less than 10% of the water while producing more than 30 times more biomass per acre. There are only a handful of big players in this market: Plenty, AeroFarms, App Harvest, and Freight Farms, to name a few. They are each using their own patented or unique hydroponic systems. You could invest in one of theirs, or you could invest in a patent-protected system that's up to 16 times more energy efficient. Their systems all bring the photons to the plants. I can bring the plants to the photons. I call them hydroslats. It's a new tool to help us solve the looming global dilemma. Hydroslats is a patented hydroponic CEA system with multiple, scalable, automatable configurations which provides several distinct advantages over other current systems. In a space roughly the size of a football field, a hydroslats facility can produce more than 18,000 heads of lettuce per day. More than a dozen different crops, from lettuce to herbs to strawberries, can be grown in hydroslats. Energy is by far the biggest monthly expense in indoor hydroponics. In Plenty's $200 million state-of-the-art facility, they get approximately 3 rows of plants per light fixture. Hydroslats can get as many as 24 rows per fixture in a flat array for the first 3 weeks. That's an 8 times improvement in energy efficiency. In the round configuration, hydroslats can get 48 rows per light fixture, or 39 more rows per unit of energy. That's a 16 times improvement. To give you an idea of the range of potential profit from that 260 by 260 room, let's look at 3 of the dozens of plant varieties that can be grown in hydroslats. At the low end, head lettuce is $1 a pound. In the middle, strawberries are about $3 a pound. At the high end, herbs can be $24 a pound. That football field-sized facility could have 547,000 plants growing simultaneously, with 18,240 of those being harvested and reseeded daily. Production costs for that facility would be approximately $7,000 per day, regardless of the plant type. Growing lettuce at $1 per pound would net about $11,000 per day, or $328,000 monthly. Growing strawberries at $3 per pound could net $46,000 per day, or $1.4 million per month. Growing herbs at $24 a pound could net $430,000 per day, or almost $13 million per month. But who could eat that much basil? In practice, every facility will grow a variety of such crops specific to local demand, each with its own cycles and price points. Now, the customer. While every human is ultimately our customer, the food supply chain is already well defined and in the hands of just a small number of retail outlets. Grocery store chains are our real customers. In Alaska, that's primarily Carr's, Walmart, Costco, Fred Meyer's, and Three Bears. Their greatest supply desire is fresh and local. That's what the public wants. Hydroslats facilities can deliver live plants the same day they harvest. Hydroslats facilities can also be designated organic, which is even more profitable. which is currently about 15% of the produce market. There are also a few institutional buyers, such as healthcare facilities, school districts, correctional institutions, and military bases. Now, what I need from you. While I've made the flat arrays with off-the-shelf parts, the round arrays require an extrusion die which will cost about $120,000. With that part, I can make a proof of concept facility with which to attract the hundreds of millions of dollars of investment that will help me reach my objective. And my objective is to start to feed the world, one salad at a time, or maybe a few thousand salads at a time. Thank you.
Terrific. What questions do we have?
Yeah, I have a question. That was excellent, by the way. I really, really thought you had done a good job there. My question is, do you grow year round, or can you grow year round? And is this something built on site or something moved?
So
location?
I just used the building as an example. That would be a completely indoor, heated, year-round grow facility that would produce those kinds of numbers. So yes, in practice, a real commercial facility would grow year-round.
This is Mark. Is your ultimate goal with this company to license out the technology to other growers, or is it to start and run your own grow facility?
I would like to start and run my own grow facilities, but I'm flexible too. I've done this enough times in life that if somebody offered me a lot of money for the technology, I would consider it. But I would love the challenge of building the facilities and making them work.
And then we have a question from Brenda. She asks if I'm assuming the plants are susceptible to disease when being grown in this kind of configuration.
So actually, you minimize your disease potential because plants can be grown in a completely clean environment. Because you can control the environment 100%, you can limit access to whatever pathogens might be airborne or are typically present in any kind of open field type of operation.
Terrific. What other questions do we have?
What is the cost to build the facility and to run the facility?
So the facility I gave was just an example of 260 feet by 260 feet. I could make it any size. Each one of the round arrays can grow 900 plus plants in a 7.5 by 7.5 foot square. So using the lettuce example, it takes 30 days to run a turn of lettuce. So you would need 30 of those. If I only had one set of 30 of those, I could harvest 916 heads of lettuce every month with just one set of that. And every crop varies a little bit. So you could make the facility as big as you want. I have a 40 by 80 building that I began last summer that if I were not to get any funding, I still have to put up the walls. I've got the concrete work done, but I could make a living out of that 40 by 80 building here in Alaska very easily. So it's completely scalable depending on where you put the facility and what plants you want to grow. You could make the place 5 times that big or 1/10 of that size.
I have a question if that answered yours. So aside from marijuana facilities, are there any commercial scale hydroponic facilities in Alaska?
In Alaska, there are some like Seeds of Change. That's kind of a therapeutic community. Their efficiencies are dramatically less than what I can do with hydroslats. And so, yes, there are a couple, but but nothing like I'm proposing, to my knowledge.
What about, this is Brenda and Tony, we're over here. I know Chena Hot Springs has some hydroponics and they feed, and they use that actually at the resort, but
Right, yeah, I've been there.
yeah, much out of there. What about pollination? Do you need bees, or do you do that all by hand?
So I'm not growing tomatoes, because tomatoes are one thing that this invention works mostly for salad crops, small things, spinach, lettuce, those kinds of things. You don't need pollination for those because they're not bearing a fruit. You're actually eating the leaves. And for strawberries, we'd put bumblebees in a facility. You can buy those and put those in facilities.
Yeah, I was thinking the strawberries. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Ah, that's great. All right, well, let's pause there. Thank you so much for that presentation. That was great. And then I believe Jay is up next. So go ahead and share out your screen whenever you're ready. And then Jake, when you get a chance, if you could post the next couple people in the chat.
Can I get confirmation that you're seeing my screen?
Yep, we gotcha.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Jay. Really glad to be here. I lead Cartorium. We're a B2B SaaS company here in Anchorage, looking to make digital twins accessible to non-technical users. And obviously, I'm going to talk more about what that means. So some quick background on me. Grew up in rural Alaska, went through the Alaskan university system. I worked my whole career in software, consulting and so on, all in Alaska. Pretty proud of that. But in growing up here and working here, you notice some things, and that's tons and tons of heavy industry going on. As well as remote, public infrastructure, very complex physical assets. The number one issue that I've seen in working with these companies is a data management issue. I mean, just everything comes back to the fact that data is siloed. So whether it's an executive who's trying to make data-driven decisions, or all the way down to the operator, who just needs some specs for a piece of equipment. Not all the people who need to know do know. And so that leads to, lost asset information, unpredictable work conditions, reactive maintenance, tons and tons of wasted money. And there's just things that make that even worse. So workforce turnover, losing the people that know, bringing on people that don't know, the fact that, especially in Alaska, physical assets are so hard to get to in the first place. And lastly, on this slide, the solutions that are out there in the market to try to solve this problem are often too technical, to bring that data availability. They're not even usable by normal people. And one of the big, sort of the big trends that I think has the most promise to solve this data availability issue just falls right into that bucket as well. Many times it's too technical, it's too expensive. And unless you have $1 million to throw at a digital twin solution, don't waste your time. But that's where our software steps in. Doesn't have to be that hard. So our cloud-based platform, we broke it up into 3 steps. How a normal organization, smaller, doesn't have $10 million to throw at it, could actually set up their own digital twin and reap these benefits. So step 1, virtualize your physical assets. So whether that's a drone flyover or a CAD model, artistic rendering, whatever it is, all you do is upload the file to our platform, and you can view it, in a 3D environment. From there, configure it. So either, move things around, set up your environment, place things where you like, but the real benefit is associate whatever information you want with anything in the scene. And it's just like a Word document, essentially. Pull in that information, images and documents and so on. And from there, reap the benefits, right? Actually have that access to, those remote virtual environments with the information in context. And the most important thing, one click away from all the information you need about those physical assets. And the value proposition then is that you actually get to leverage, this information age. There's so much data out there. There's so many different tools that are being used. They're so separated. So this is the next generation operations of bringing those things together and actually benefiting from, all that information. On top of that, 3D interactive training, scientifically proven to be better than 2D passive training. And so you're cutting down those turnover costs as well. It's accessible anywhere, anytime, because it's in the cloud. Cut down on that travel, which in Alaska is especially expensive. And so how we're making money, we're a business-to-business SaaS company, as I mentioned. Our pricing model is based around users. So it's $25 a month per user, or there's options for unlimited public availability, but essentially it's scalable for, the smallest 1 to 2 man operation, all the way up reasonably scales for much larger operations. We have a super technical team, years and years of experience in software consulting, and particularly software consulting for large industrial clients. So we have this unique crossover of the 3D tech with, our go-to-market targets, I guess. And speaking of market, global digital twin market is ginormous, projected to grow to 46 billion in the next 5 years from just around 8 billion where it is now. And the US makes up about half of that. And so we see our niche at particularly remote, and smaller independent, oil and gas and electric cooperatives and things like that, that are especially hit hard by some of these data management issues. And for whom, the traditional digital twin solutions just are not accessible. And so even that is a growing, very, very large market opportunity. We're well on our way. So we've finished the MVP last year. I've done customer discovery and accelerators and pitch competitions, Launch Alaska. We've so far this year over 100,000 in made and committed revenue. We're working with a municipality, a water utility, electric cooperatives, and we have really strong projects interest, I suppose, from multiple oil and gas companies, and as well as native corps and housing authorities, you name it. So we're also setting up some strategic partnerships as well through 60 Hertz on there. We have 2 upcoming direct integrations with them on some projects. So really excited about our movement here in Alaska. And so that leads to what we're up to next. We're in the coming months going to be raising $1 million seed round, essentially to take the processes that we've streamlined with our first few initial projects across various sectors here in Alaska, and just scaling those across broader markets, bringing what the benefit that we believe to local workforces to enable them essentially to step into the next generation of heavy industry operations. Do it here first, and then take it to the world. That's pretty much it. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Jay. Brenda kicked us off with a question in the chat asking, how many customers do you have now?
Yeah, so we have 2 immediately right now, with 2 more letters of intent for enterprise connections. And those are companies, to be specific.
So we have another question in the chat from Sam. It's saying, what is a digital twin?
Yeah, sure. It was a gamble to throw it in there without explaining. I thought it was well known, maybe obvious. It's essentially a virtual digital copy of a real world thing. And so it can be pretty broad. I mean, everything from like a picture of something all the way to a fully interactive 3D model with live data feeds and all that. Those are all considered, a digital twin.
And then Jay, I have a question. Where does the $1 million get you to?
Yeah. So it gets us to essentially the next 18 months expanding into broader markets. We were hoping to get, oh gosh, I wish I had my financial projections in front of me, but to get to around 10 enterprise clients. Like I said, we're at 2 with 2 more in the pipeline and many more with strong interest. And so in the next 18 months, hoping to bring the size of those projects up a little bit, go for some bigger clients, probably in broader markets than just Alaska. So I would say, overarching goal for the next 18 months is to lay down some real roots outside of Alaska.
Okay, one more crazy question.
Sure.
If you're doing a seed round, what's your projected return for the investor?
Projected return. Oh, okay, sure. So our long-term goal here is to exit at $100 million valuation. I guess I won't say what valuation we're going for this seed round, but at least you know, 20, I guess, to 100x is really what our long-term goal is here.
Have you started raising that seed yet?
We've started conversations, but no, we haven't actively said, give us money. This event, the AAC is sort of our big kickoff for it.
Okay. And what is the sales cycle like for you guys? What's the, I imagine working with, megacorps, it's probably a pretty long sales cycle.
Yeah, I would say average, we're at about 2 months, 3 months. And the extremes are extreme. So we've had 3 weeks that came off of a really a strong recommendation, I suppose, and they were just pretty much ready to go as soon as we talked to them. Compared to one of our letters of intent we've been talking to since last August. So we are trying to systematize and streamline that process, and that's a huge part of where our seed round is going to. Really streamline and take as much human out of our processes so we can scale.
Okay, and my final question, and I think it's going to probably be the last question for this round.
Sure.
Of that $100,000 booked revenue that you guys have, I'm assuming a huge portion of that is services revenue.
You're correct. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got in the pipeline 200 to 250,000. I said over 100 because those are the sure ones. And of that, around 50,000 is annualized revenue. Yeah, so a big portion of it is absolutely in the services. We're using projects like that to carry us initially, but the plan is to step away from projects as we scale more and more, and either pass off to partners or like I say, automate some of those processes.
Thank you very much, Jay, and appreciate your presentation. I think it went very well. Next up, we have Carter Copter Alaska, followed with Ken, and then followed by that, it's going to be, or following that, it will be BIP referrals. Actually, I don't see Carter Copter here. So, I guess, Matthew, that means that you are up next with BIP referrals. And again, I appreciate everybody's flexibility on this. Thank you, Matthew, for being ready to go in an instant.
Yeah, no trouble. You see the correct screen?
Yep, we're good to go, and we hear you good too.
And we are ready to go. All right, my name is Matthew Froelich. I'm the CEO and founder of BIP Referrals. So BIP Referrals facilitates word-of-mouth client referrals between service providers and real estate, finance, and others via an online platform. BIP Referrals eliminates the hassle of the inefficient referral process, follow-ups, and misconnections by simplifying and automating the entire process, resulting in higher conversion rates, eliminating unnecessary phone calls and emails, and getting a customer to the right professional quickly and with a high degree of confidence. So the main problem here is that we have a lot of deals that are lost each year due to referrals that fail to connect prospects with the service providers. Referral partners are the ones that generally make a referral, and they're looking for a simple and quick system for sending these referrals. Consumers are looking for some kind of instant engagement. That's what you expect nowadays, is when you make a phone call, someone's there to answer it. Service providers are having difficulty following up with these prospects quickly. And so we have our solution. We have a web-based application that makes it easy for people to send referrals. Our referral system automatically engages potential clients to connect them with the service provider, and a system for the referral partners and service providers to track referrals. When I mention referral partners, the account is free for them. Our paying customers are the service providers. So our solution, your referral partner pulls out their phone, opens our app. They select the service provider that they want to send the referral to, enter in the client's name and either their email or their phone number, and then they hit send. The referral's made, their part is done. Now our automation takes over, and if the client gave their email or their phone number, they receive an automated response. So the text message that they receive in this example just says, hey, you were referred over to this service provider. There's a couple ways we can connect you. Click here to get started. This acts as our opt-in and also takes them over to the service provider's landing page. On this landing page, the service provider can introduce themselves. Say, hey, I'm really excited to work with you. Here's some services I provide, just to kind of go into more detail on that, areas that they serve, and their preferred contact methods. We prefer to offer a couple different options here so the client can choose the method that they prefer. But things like setting an appointment. In the world I'm coming from, which is mortgage loans, I really want to push the application out there. A lot of times the first phone call can be skipped entirely because the client's just ready to fill out an application, see what they qualify for. And some service providers might want to have things like their phone number and the hours of operation. So why is something like this better? It's a simple system for that referral partner to send the referrals. It fills that instant engagement that the clients or the prospects are looking for and turns into higher conversions for our service providers. Look at our target market. Mortgage officers, and we are focusing more on the real estate industry to start out with on related professions. A lot of these industry professionals send and receive a lot of referrals and generate a lot of business through referrals. So mortgage officers, there's over 300,000 in the US. Realtors, there's over 3 million. And insurance agents, there's over 1.2 million. That gives us an initial TAM of $1.5 billion based off of an monthly subscription of $34.99. And that touches on our referral or our revenue model. We are operating under a SaaS model with monthly and annual subscriptions. We offer professional, which is our individual accounts, team accounts, and enterprise accounts with discounts for multiple users and plans starting at that $34.99. So traction so far to date, we are incorporated as a Delaware C corporation. We have started our phase 2 in development where we are in our programming phase, just making sure everything works there, and started phase 2 in marketing, which is just creating the rest of our branding materials along with the strategy for our market launch. And we're also focused on launching just a beta version MVP so we can start generating some of that user feedback and tweak any features or benefits our clients are looking for. Quick touch on competition. So I broke this into 3 major ones. So current tech. So this is current alternate uses. And right now it's your text messages, phone calls, and emails. The pros is it already exists and everyone's familiar with them. Cons is there's no easy way to automate this for engaging those clients. Another one, more of a direct competitor, is ChamberForge. Pros for them, they've been around for a couple of years and they've been focusing more on group referrals. So like your networking groups that send referrals back and forth. Cons, their system, which I've been able to play with, doesn't have any automation. It's more of a glorified email system, notification system, and it's pretty cumbersome to use right now. But that doesn't mean they can't to work on that part. And then there are alternate referral programs like referral sites, such as Angie's List, Alignable. Their pros is brand familiarity. They have large user bases. Cons is while they're in the competition realm, they're not really a direct competitors. They're not focused on that word of mouth referrals. They're generally more referral based referrals. Or I'm sorry, review-based referrals. Team, I'm a solo co-founder right now. I'm looking to add on, expand the team here in the next few months, adding on a product manager and a marketing manager to help spread the word. But I've been in the industry for over 5 years. I quickly saw the need for this. I deal with referrals. That's where I get all of my business from. And the need here for just connecting to those clients is huge. I'm a graduate from the University of Alaska Anchorage, graduated with a business degree in administration where I majored in management, marketing, and finance. And I have leadership experience through the Marine Corps and also through some management experience working down in Las Vegas as in some of the casinos down there. And then I will wrap that up and open up for questions.
Thank you very much, Matthew. So where, I guess the question that I guess we've asked a lot of people, what are you going to do with any funding you receive, and where are you at now? And then just to revisit Eva's, I think, question from last, I don't remember whose question it was. What's your exit strategy?
All right, so yeah, right now, any funding is going to wrap up the rest of our development, and along with marketing. We also have to finalize some legal as far as terms of services, privacy, all of that, get that together, and then start launching some advertising, going after networking organizations to spread the word and educate people that the solution exists. And then expanding on the team, bringing in some more team members to really help get this out there, work with customers as far as feedback once those start coming in. The good thing with this is it's very the network effects can take over, but that's also partly a risk as that user feedback comes in. If you don't have a person managing that, it can become overwhelming very quickly. And then the last question there was tied into what's the goal. So goal for investors, looking for a minimum return for investors of an 18x. The sky's the limit in this as far as it's easily scalable, and there's a lot of professions that we can expand into. So the verticals there are, there's several of those, especially if you look at networking organizations such as BNI, that's focused all about sending referrals and referral based, generating business by referrals. And they have industries from all walks of life, from your marketing professionals, your sales professionals, financial advisors, most of your service providers or service focused professions.
Okay.
Are you
thank you.
in-house, or do you have someone, are you hiring a team to develop it? And when are you expecting to have your MVP ready?
So I'm working on the MVP currently and hope to have that here in the next few days to test it out with a select group of just referral partners I've already worked with that have sent me referrals, industry contacts I have that I know are looking for a solution here, and have them start using the system in a very basic system for it. As far as the overall launch, that should be in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We are in, as far as programming and just making sure all the systems work well with each other, as far as referral tracking and the automations for the text messaging and emails.
Thanks.
And then, go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say last question, whoever wants to do that.
Yeah, Brenda posted a question in the chat. She said, can you refer someone who isn't in your system?
No, you can't. And the reason for that is there's no way to automate, to send them anywhere for automation. There's no call to action if they're not in your system. But that is why our service providers are the paying customers, because they're the ones getting the business, so they will be in the system. And then we have it to where they have to be connected to or set up their system so they can receive the referrals.
Thank you. Next up, I didn't say this because we skipped somebody, I apologize. Next up is going to be Aquaga, followed by Fix Blitz.
All righty, share my screen here, and hopefully someone will let me know if it's not coming through. I know we're getting late in the session here, so I'll try to keep my energy up. So I'm Brian Pinkard. I'm the CTO of Aquaga. We're the folks that are working to put an end to PFAS chemicals. So I'm sure most of you are wondering what the heck are PFAS and why am I always talking about them? So PFAS are chemicals that are used mostly in industrial firefighting foams known as AFFF. But they're also used in brands that we interact with every single day. They're used in your nonstick pans, they're used in your Gore-Tex jackets, Scotchgard, Rain-X, oil and gas activities leverage PFAS. These chemicals are quite literally everywhere. They are the asbestos of our generation. And they've been used for about 60 to 70 years before we learned how toxic they are. So this is why all of a sudden you have folks like Trevor Noah talking about PFAS and how they're in all of our blood, as well as John Oliver highlighting PFAS in his program. And the issue with PFAS is they never, ever break down. So they're known as forever chemicals. And there is absolutely no safe concentration. PFAS cause cancer, liver damage, developmental issues, immune system disruption, just a whole host of health problems. And again, there is no safe concentration of PFAS. This is a map of sites in the US, as well as Alaska, as you can see, that have found PFAS. This isn't a comprehensive list of all the spots that have PFAS. These are just the places that we've looked and found it. We haven't looked everywhere yet. So you can see some states have done a lot more sampling than others. And the problem that we're really focused on is a little bit nuanced here. So if you spray PFAS-based firefighting foams at a site, the problem is they get into the groundwater, they get into the soil, and then eventually you have to actively remediate both the groundwater and the soil. The good news is we do have technologies. You can pump the contaminated groundwater and pass it through a Brita filter, activated carbon filter. You can pull PFAS off of soil. The problem is, what do you do with that contaminated filter, right? So you have this carbon, it's loaded with PFAS. Currently, it all gets sent to the incinerator or sent to the landfill. And if you think about incinerating a firefighting foam, it doesn't actually work. So it goes back into the environment, keeps recirculating. Now, this isn't just a cycle of contamination. It's also a cycle of huge liability for the industry. There's been over $4 billion worth of lawsuits around PFAS to date. What we have is a technology that actually breaks down PFAS once and for all, ending that cycle of liability and contamination. The way that our technology works, it's basically a pressure cooker on steroids. We have a patented technology, one of 2 technologies that exist in the world that actually work to break down PFAS. We have patents on this technology. We take PFAS-rich wastewater in, we use some chemical additives, and we output clean water and safe salts. This is a mock-up of our Steed series unit, which we're currently working to develop as we speak. And the whole system is containerized, so it can be brought to a site to do the remediation projects, which is what we've heard through customer discoveries, what the customers want. We have 3 revenue models for the industry. The first is pilot system projects. So customers want to try before they buy in this industry. The good news is that in wastewater and in environmental remediation, pilot projects are profitable, and over 60% of them actually convert to paid full-scale demonstrations. So in our 2 market verticals in the environmental remediation side, we have portable Steed series units. We offer these as a project-based revenue model. So we bid on projects collaboratively, put systems on site, clean up wastewater. And then we also have industrial wastewater contracts. These are more permanent system installation contracts where we'd be, building out a system, CapEx installation, and then having ongoing service and maintenance contracts for the industrial wastewater segment. We've had a lot of success to date leveraging non-dilutive funding streams. So in the blue, you can see funding we've secured to date. Gray is funding that we're currently pursuing. And I want to emphasize most of these funds, especially this FAA contract on the right, are for real projects. They're for deployment and demonstration projects. Some of this is R&D, but a lot of this is for technology demonstrations, which we'll be doing this summer. And the PFAS market is huge. We've had these numbers validated by private market research report, as well as top-down, bottom-up market estimates. PFAS is going to be worth $80 billion in the US by 2025. And we know that customers are currently paying $5 to $7 per gallon for disposal of PFAS-rich liquids. We're not the only game in town. We see that as a good sign. There's other companies that are pursuing this opportunity. Big companies like Patel and AECOM are developing similar technologies, as well as some startups. But we're very confident in our position and technology. We've been very intentional about selecting and developing this technology. And we've got a great team to do it. So myself, I'm one of 3 co-founders, as well as Nigel Sharp and Chris Woodruff. We've got a really strong engineering team. We've got a great circle of advisors and mentors. And we've just secured some really key hires in the realms of business development and sales and marketing. So that's where we're also hoping to expand. As we fundraise, we're hoping to expand out our sales and marketing team, expand out our sales funnel to help us grow and scale faster. These are just some pictures of the progress that we've made past couple of years. Want to highlight these pictures. This is from site visits that we did at Eielson Air Force Base back in 2021. Some samples of water that we collected up there from some of their PFAS remediation projects. And this is some water sampling we performed down in Ellsworth Air Force Base down in Rapid City, South Dakota. And this is a picture of our container where our current pilot system is housed, and which we'll be using for demonstration projects this summer. So with that, I'm happy to take some questions. Always happy to take some follow-on conversations as well. Thanks.
Say anything?
Somebody had a question, I heard.
No, it was very thorough, and it looks like he's got lots of military contracts. There's a lot of federal funds that are potentially coming your way.
I'm curious about the expansion of the units he has. Do they build them on demand? Do they have them inventoried? What is their capacity at this point, I wonder?
It's a great question. So I sort of mentioned it towards the end. We've developed our first pilot series unit for doing pilot projects. But one of the things we need to do is we need to scale up our basically our fleet, right? So we can do remediation projects. This obviously is a capital intensive business. So part of what we're doing is having capital equipment that we maintain and operate, take from site to site. So we've done some financial projections in terms of like number of units that we need over the next several years to generate stable revenue. And we have a good idea as well of like what margins we can generate with those units. And one thing I'll mention and highlight is that, a lot of the non-dilutive funding that we've secured has gone towards, developing and engineering those systems. So luckily, a lot of the tech has kind of been covered by federal grants. And again, we're trying to leverage the private investment for the sales, marketing, business development side of the house.
So it seems like you are a little bit past the traditional angel investing phase. So you are in your current round. How much are you looking for, and what kind of raise are you going to be doing?
It's a great question, Jake. So we are raising our seed round currently. We haven't taken much private investment to date. We're currently raising a $3 million round, and we've got interest from several venture firms that are looking to take a sizable portion of that. And then we're talking to several angel groups to basically round out that round.
Thank you.
Do you have an expected rate of return or exit strategy for the business?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like to say that we're kind of exit agnostic. but obviously, exiting is something that at some point that's obviously the goal for taking funding. So a couple routes that we're looking at. One is obviously the traditional merger and acquisition route. In this industry, those tend to be on the order of like $300 million. Companies grow fairly large before they're acquired. But there's also some exciting opportunities for an IPO. So there's a lot of, I don't know if you're familiar with like special purpose acquisition companies. There's kind of this trend in clean tech right now. It's kind of a backdoor option for IPO, allows companies to secure capital and scale faster. I mean, our focus as founders, honestly, is to scale the company as fast as possible, get this technology out there and make as big of an impact as possible. But we're definitely anticipating a decent rate of return for investors for sure.
My question is, I'm not clear on, you have a unit that you move from site to site as you're engaged to clean, or this, you sell it to a site and it stays there permanently? How does this work?
Both depending on the customer. So for the remediation projects, typically you might have like a year-long or 3-year-long remediation project. So in that case, a containerized unit, we plop it down on a military base, for example, hook it up to the power. One of the reasons we deploy to a site is it avoids a lot of permitting complications. So if you have a centralized treatment facility, it usually takes 2 to 3 years just to get the permits for accepting this type of waste. Whereas if we deploy our systems to a site, it avoids that complexity. So we can deploy the container, hook it up, leave it there, operate it for the duration of the contract, move it to the next site as needed. But there's also long-term, so there are companies that manufacture PFAS, and they have these permanent treatment needs. So in those cases, we would be installing a permanent system and then taking on the operation and maintenance contract and generating sustainable revenue in that way.
Thank you so much, Brian. We're going to move on now to Fix Blitz. And from there, our final pitch of the night is going to be Zach with North Star Tutors. So Fix Blitz, take it away.
Right on. Hopefully you can see that.
Yes, sir.
Yep, you're good.
Right on. Well, I'm Teddy Krogh. I'm the CEO and founder of Fix Blitz. Fix Blitz is an on-demand heating, plumbing, and electrical marketplace. We've created a way to revolutionize the $50 billion market in home repairs. We make it easier for consumers to get help, and we empower contractors to be better business owners. I started Fix Blitz because when I was owning and operating 2 assisted living homes and memory care homes, there was always problems that came up with electrical, heating, and plumbing issues. We would have like a toilet clog up and I would need help, and my go-to plumber would be booked out for weeks and they'd be unable to help me. And with running the assisted living homes, I couldn't just wait for that. I need help right away because I had incontinent residents, I had families coming in, I had staff coming in. And I did what everybody does when I got that answer. I went online and just started calling down a list of plumbers to see who could help me the fastest. And I started realizing that this was a story for many people who had heating, electrical, and plumbing problems in their homes. And Fix Blitz is here to solve that problem. And I wanted people to get their issues fixed right away. When I did more digging, I also realized that service providers were also having a lot of issues in this industry. It's very competitive out there. And the industry is based a lot on long-serving reputation, and there's not too many tech solutions available. Fix Blitz solves these issues for both consumers and service providers. We help consumers save a lot of time and money by connecting them with available service providers. And for service providers, we offer them strong, immediate, hot leads. And we also support a gig economy style of schedule. So there's a lot of freedom in our solution. At the moment, there's nothing like this in these industries. No one is able to serve the millennial homeowner in such a powerful on-demand fashion like we do. And we also offer a very powerful tool for service providers who are ready to adopt this new technology when it comes to their business. There's not much in this space right now. For some reason or another, it's overlooked. And the markets, as I was saying, are overlooked. And we're in many markets right now, and the obvious one is home repair market. And the home repair industry is really big, And the more research I did into this area, the more I realized that this was a massive business opportunity here that no one was fully capitalizing on, and no one was bringing an on-demand marketplace to this. There's just not one cohesive on-demand providers. There are some competitors in the market, which we'll get to later. Our process is really easy on how FixSplits works. It's 3 steps. First of all, the consumer has an issue, whether it be heating, plumbing, or electrical, and they use FixSplits to dial a phone number out that goes to several contractors at once. So the phone call comes in, and whoever is available and can accept that call gets that lead. After that, that service provider is expected to respond in a very quick fashion, whether that be that evening or within the next day or so. So that way you always have availability with contractors. If contractors are too busy or they're totally booked out, they won't be answering the call. We have 2 ways of generating revenue. First, we take a percentage of the first hour of work a contractor provides. This is very similar to how Uber makes money. We take a cut in the payment they take a cut between the payment of the rider and the driver. In our case, we'll take a cut between the consumer and the contractor. Secondly, we'll have a bidding marketplace for contractors who want access to leads. This is similar to how Zillow charges real estate agents who want to sell houses in particular areas or zip codes. And in our cases, it'll be for contractors who want to pay for access to leads in certain zip codes in certain areas. We are available right now. We just launched last week, and this is what our service provider app looks like. We have an app for service providers so they can keep track of earnings, they could keep track of leads that come on. It's been really well received right now. A lot of service providers don't like Angie List. Well, it's kind of confusing right now because Angie's List has rebranded to Angie. So they don't really like Angie. They're trying to compete with some of the bigger firms, and they really like how this is going for them. And for consumers, we have a web-enabled app. So they do not actually have a traditional app from the App Store. They just log onto our website and are able to connect right away. For contractors, FixSplits will be revolutionary. They'll be able to find strong, immediate business opportunities, and the nature of our on-demand marketplace provides a lot of freedom and the ability for contractors to set their own schedules. Just like with Uber drivers and Zillow agents, plumbers, electricians, heating specialists, they want more business and they want to work for themselves. And FixSplits will allow for this to happen for them. Right now, the competitors in this space are primarily Angie and Thumbtack, but there's a lot of local providers as well that are legacy providers. They're really limited in how they could scale. They often are booked out a long ways. I just want to point out that Angie is doing something completely different. They don't have a unique phone system built like we do, and they're based more on review-based directory, like a Yelp, instead of like an Uber. Thumbtack just does not have the presence, and there's a resistance to joining Angie and Thumbtack that I'm finding with service providers and contractors that so far we have not encountered. Very lean team, me leading it. I have previous tech startup experience, previous small business experience. It's helped tremendously get this off the ground, launched, and get our few users. Right now, we're in our seed round. We're hoping to raise 400,000, and the seed round will give us about 12 to 18 month runway. Will help us prove out our beta model right now, and will hopefully bring our developer on full time. And most of the money will be going to marketing and raising brand awareness. And right now we're just in Anchorage and Matsu, and we want to move out of those markets into Seattle and then nationwide. And that's it.
Thank you, Teddy. I will open the floor to questions. Just to clarify, so you already are launched?
Yes, yep. The only thing not launched right now is the Android app, but that should be launched any day. It's just in review right now.
And how are you recruiting? I mean, since it's a double-sided marketplace, how are you recruiting both the contractors and the consumers?
So the first one would be the service providers. I don't want consumers to call and not get help. So it's just been going out and meeting with handymen, meeting with plumbers, electricians that are looking for more business, and just sitting them down with coffee and talking to them about the app and getting their feedback. There is a little bit of an education to this because there's nothing like this out there right now. leads and stuff like that aren't really discussed quite like it is. Like I'm a real estate agent now. I mean, that's a pretty common lingo here is leads and answering your phone and direct connections and stuff like that. But it's been sort of telling them how this works and how to answer the phone and what to say and how the app works.
So you haven't really started the consumer side of it
Not yet, no. The first outreach for consumers will be real estate agents because they're contractually obligated to get these repairs fixed in a few days. And anything that pushes that contract sooner, they'll want to do. And like I said, I'm a real estate agent now, so I know a bunch of the brokerages. And my plan is just to get out to them for the first kind of wave of consumers. And then after that, there's a lot of property managers that need this. And then the big one is Airbnb. They have people coming in that night and they have a repair that needs to be made. They can't wait because they're going to lose business. And we have a pretty strong Airbnb market here.
True. So you kind of answered my question because I was afraid you might not be able to find enough contractors to, because I know we've gone through the same problem. We end up with a problem. We start making phone calls, just like you said, right down the, yellow page line to say, okay, if you got an option,
Yeah, and you lose track of who you're talking to, and you don't know if you should book a week out or whatever's going to be the earliest one,
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, this sounds great. Good luck, Teddy.
Thanks.
You said you had a previous startup experience. Just brief.
Yeah.
What was that in?
It was a dating website I started with my friend in college, and it was before the iPhone. And we used a personality test, and we matched people up with the schools they were in. And we like to call it the Tinder before Tinder. And we didn't really know what we were doing, but we managed a development team. We got it off the ground, and it was only at my school, which was Pacific Lutheran University. And after that, we just kind of didn't understand what to do. So we were young, 19, 20,
Awesome. Hey, thank you very much. I don't see any more questions coming through. So I am going to open the floor. It's right about 10 minutes anyway. So I'm going to open the floor to North Star Tutors for their presentation.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Let's see if we can get some screen sharing going here.
I see it.
There we go. Full screen and everything?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Awesome. Hello, everyone. And thank you for having me. My name is Zachary Mason, and I am the CEO of North Star Tutors, and I am a terrible student. I was always good at learning, and I was a smart kid growing up, but I am just bad at being a student. And unfortunately, I'm not alone. Across the country, class sizes have been increasing dramatically. Teachers only have so much time in the day, so that means there's less time they can spend helping each individual student with their challenges. And we see the results of this in Alaska, where 2 out of 3 fourth graders are not up to the national standards in mathematics right now. It's affecting students all across the country. And while limited support options do exist to help students who are struggling in their classes, they're often clunky and impersonal. And at $80 an hour and paying a semester in advance, they're ultimately too expensive for the average family to afford. Now, in addition to the 3 problems here, the big one that we also see is cortisol levels. As student stress levels increase, and failing will do that to you, that's an increase in cortisol in their bloodstream. And cortisol has some really nasty side effects, including it hinders the release of oxytocin, making you biologically less empathetic and less generous. It weakens your immune system. And ultimately it harms your focus and memory, and ultimately it's correlated with a lower life expectancy. And I know you guys didn't come to hear a TED Talk on the effects of cortisol, but I can't help it because at North Star Tutors, explaining new ideas to people is just what we do. So what do we propose? Any solution needs to provide one-on-one support. Group classes, while effective for initially learning a subject, are not effective in trying to reinforce that subject when a student is struggling. Students are individuals, they struggle in individual ways, and they need individualized support. We believe that you need to pair students and tutors based on more than just subject and grade level. Ultimately, we like to say finding the right tutors like finding the right therapist. It's as much about the connection between the tutor and the student as it is the tutor's ability to explain a concept well. And finally, it needs to be an accessible and affordable and available option so that your average family can get the support they need for their students. And for the last 18 months, that's exactly what we've been doing. We provide educational tutoring to K-12 students in every subject at every level. We have standardized test prep available. We offer SAT and ACT prep for college-bound students, as well as ASVAB prep for military-bound students. And finally, we augment those support options with music lessons. And we have guitar, ukulele, singing, piano, cello, drums, and more. And the results speak for themselves. To date, we have generated over $100,000 in gross revenue and performed over 1,000 hours of instruction. And while we did see a dip in revenue between semesters, we've seen consistent growth, and we're on average right now in lessons performed per month, we're looking at about 80% year-to-year growth. And so we've also managed to secure two contracts now with Native organizations. We have agreements with school districts, and we're working on several more civilian and military contracts at the moment to try and make our option as accessible as possible. Where do we go from here? We're looking to try and reach 500 lessons per month by September of 2023. Starting in 2024, we're hoping to expand our marketing outside of Alaska so that we can start reaching as many students down the West Coast as possible, looking first at Washington and Oregon, in particular targeting smaller communities that aren't well served by larger providers, with a hope of reaching 1,500 lessons a month by September of 2025. And while it's not on here because I'm terrible at making slides, we're looking for an exit within the next 5 to 8 years. Now, with that 2025 1,500 sessions per month number, we're looking at with an average session revenue of $48, that comes out to about $67,500 in net revenue per month. And that's excluding corporate contracts, which are making up a progressively larger portion of our business. So obviously we're here trying to seek investment. We're in the middle of our pre-seed round, if I can call it that. We've been working to raise $200,000, and so far we have $44,000 that we've received on safes and convertible notes. And we've got another tentative $70,000 right about now that we are in the middle of negotiations for. For that, 50% from that 50% is going to bringing on new staff members, expanding our administration so that we can start reaching new communities and things like that, and onboarding new students as quickly as possible. 20% will go to expanding marketing in the communities we're currently serving. And then the remainder is going to go to developing as we work to build out our own in-house system and furthering our automations that we already have in place between third-party provided software. So Krishna and Nick, you've met me. Krishna and Nick have both been with us since the beginning. Krishna is our Vice President of Operations. He's he is working on starting nursing school here in the future. And Nick is a professionally trained musician, runs a local band, and is currently working on yet another degree in special education services and working with children with special needs. And so ultimately, what I'm saying with all this is that my name is Zachary Mason. I'm not a good student, but if I'd had the support of Krishna or Nick or any of the other incredible tutors on our team, of which there's 20 now, I think I could have been. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zach. That was a great presentation, and I think I understand what you guys are doing. My first question, and I'm drawn right to it, is why the slow growth projections? It seems like with the success that you guys have shown so far, going to just $1,500 less a month, or only 12xing your run rate over 5 years, seems a little bit like less than what you could accomplish. Is there a particular reason, or can you just explain some of that thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't start out with the mentality of even building a company, really. When we started this company, we were all students at the time, and just looking to generate some extra revenue and hopefully support some students in the community. And the completely honest reason why that run rate seems so low is because I have not had a chance to modify the numbers in the slide deck, and we're working on recalculating what our growth numbers look like but they're not completed, and I can't say them confidently enough to replace the numbers that I currently have in there. So, so that I would say is not an accurate assessment of where we're hoping to be in 5 years, but it is the one that is currently in Canva.
Oh, okay, that does clarify it. And then maybe I missed it. Do you have a specific fundraising target, and how much runway does that provide you?
Yeah, so we're kind of in a pre-seed round right now. We've been working to raise $200,000, and it's kind of been trickling in on safes and convertible notes. And so that's going to provide us a runway of just about 18 months. And we're hoping within the next probably 6 to 8 months to begin a seed round and seeking $1 million.
Thanks. I'll let other people ask questions now.
Hey, Zach, this is Mark. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
How many tutors are you up to now, and how are you recruiting?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if my internet's being wonky or not, but I couldn't quite hear you, Sam. Would you mind repeating that?
Yeah, so how many tutors are you up to contracting, and how are you recruiting them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're big believers in hiring current students. About 85% of our current tutors or of our tutors right now are current students. We find there's a level of empathy there that we don't find in hiring industry professionals and people with 20 years experience. It also helps us keep our operational costs lower, which makes the service that much more affordable for your average family. We have 20 people on staff right now. 17 of them are tutors. And so we've been recruiting them from colleges around Alaska, but we actually have tutors now in 3 time zones, and we advertise online. And I'm not sure if there was a third part of that question I might have missed.
No, but there's a question, who is the competition?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest competitors in the online tutoring space in particular are companies like tutor.com, Varsity Tutors. They're big multinational corporations, and they are a great option if you are making, in excess of $500,000 a year and you can afford to spend, so let's say you wanted Calculus 1 tutoring right now and you're reaching out to one of our major national competitors, you're going to be looking at $75 to $85 an hour, and you're going to need to pay a semester in advance, and it's non-refundable, it's non-negotiable. That's just it. That's not an option for your average family. So as far as competitors in our space that are targeting, kind of your average Joe, if you will, they're really limited, particularly when it comes to companies with a focus on online tutoring. In fact, they're basically non-existent.
Which native villages are hiring you?
Yeah, so we're working with Tanana Chiefs Conference and Fairbanks Native Association right now. We have annual contracts with both of them. We're in conversations with a native school district. We're in conversations with the Yukon-Koyukuk School District, trying to get services to the villages on the Tanana. So that'd be about 850 students. And the negotiations we're having right now are for about a $65,000 a month contract, and we'll see if that goes through or not.
Nice logo. Hats off to your graphic artist.
Thank you. That was definitely me bored at 2 in the morning, but I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Zachary, for that presentation. We have no further presentations. However, in the interest of giving everybody around the same amount of time, I'm going to call it there. I will say, Mark, did we talk about letting entrepreneurs offer feedback afterwards, or was that during the question phase? Because I'd be willing to say we have about 6 minutes to kill until the investors group back in with the other investors. But if anybody has any feedback for other investors, feel free at this time to go ahead and ask. I'll ask just, in the interest of fairness, let's not bring up any slide decks or anything, but go ahead and ask any questions that you may have.
I'd like to ask Cecil a question. Hydroslats.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you have any food from one of yours so far, and if we do something in person, will you bring me some strawberries? That's my type one.
It may be a few months before I have any up, but we could work on that.
We'll work something out. Awesome.
Hey, this is a question for you, Jake. What's the next process? When do these guys get to hear, or Mark, do you know when they get to have more feedback from us, or what's the next step for them?
We are, after this, we're going to all break in, and I think Melanie's going to fill us in on some more of that. And rather than me getting it wrong and you just have to hear it again tonight, I'm just going to wait till we get back in the group and she can make sure we are all set straight.
Jake, is there any possibility that we would be contacted by any of the investors with questions or feedback like that? Because yeah, this was good to present, but I have little feedback as to what I did or what I should change.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's a formal process. I know that we may reach out with some questions and some clarification that we didn't think of at the time. I know. Well, I will say, regardless of what happens, I'm happy to sit down with you and talk about your presentation if you'd like at any time for feedback on that. And the same offer goes to everyone else. But I don't know if we have a formal process for that. And I don't want to say that we do or don't without actually having any inkling as to reality. So.
Okay, and we can get your contact info from Melanie?
Yeah, so it's in the, you should have received a link to a Google shared drive for participants, and there's a document in there that has my contact information in that, so that you can reach out to me directly that way. I will say I'm traveling this week, so it'll be sketchy getting a hold of me this week, but I will try to respond if you message me.
Terrific. Well, thank you everyone for participating. To all the entrepreneurs, let's give them a round of applause. That was incredible presentation. Thank you so much for participating tonight. And with that, we will close things out and return back to the main room. See you all soon.